Married women all possess one superpower, and the thing is, most don't even know about it, and others misuse it. This superpower, I promise you, is the key to absolutely revolutionizing your marriage. Question: if I could show you three small things that you can do every day that would have your marriage exponentially better in a matter of days, is that worth watching a short video? If I could show you just a few small habit changes, right, that you can make, even if your husband isn't on board, that will improve your marriage, would you be on board with that? If I could reveal to you a superpower that you already possess and show you how to implement that with intention, would you be up to watch this video till the end? Hang in there because that's exactly what I'm going to do. So, who am I? My name's Sheldon Robinson, and my wife and I, we are the founders of Roommates to Soulmates. And we are a marriage service business. We just help couples rediscover God's purpose and intention in marriage. So we're marriage coaches and entrepreneurs by trade, I guess. But none of that's really important. I'm going to have to tell you it's what's important, all right? Because even though we're marriage coaches and we got the certifications in this and that, and we've got degrees in biblical studies and all this other cool stuff, none of that really matters when the rubber has to meet the road, right? So who we actually are that matters at this point is we are human beings who've been married for a number of years, and we've experienced the same highs and lows that every other couple that's ever been married go through, right? And here's what we found out, even in our own story, right? Is it's very easy to get trapped in sort of the marriage improvement, what I call the marriage improvement trap, right? And what that looks like is my marriage will look better when, right? That's how that starts. My marriage will get better when, right? It's like, oh, when we get our first house, we'll be happy when we get our first house, or oh, we'll be happy after we have our first kid, or oh, we'll be happy when we start finally making some real money, and oh, we'll be happy, when our first kid grows up because we got the kid, just kind of stressing you out, right? And what happens is the goalpost continually moves, right? And you get caught in this in your own headspace, and this idea that around the next bend it's going to be this sudden breakthrough, this sudden revolution, right? And when you go around these bends, right, and your life progresses and continues, if you're like most other people, you realize that okay, that wasn't the key. That wasn't what I was looking for. My life isn't all of a sudden just better, right? I didn't just like break the sound barrier, right? And then it's like, oh, smooth sailing, right? You find out, oh, there's another bend. Let's get there. Let's reach that, okay, fine. We'll get there. We'll get there one day. I'll be happy one day. So the truth of the matter is your marriage will get better when you decide to put in the work to make it better. And I know that's a broad general statement, but I'm going to narrow this down very specifically for you and help you get there, right? Because what happens is you start to feel stuck, right? And I don't mean feel stuck as in, okay, I need an escape from my marriage, right? No, it's more of a feel stuck in maybe it'll never get better, right? Maybe this is the way it's always going to be, right? You could say this with me if you heard it before, right? About the honeymoon phase, just wait till the honeymoon phase is over. Oh, real life's going to hit you, right? Such a lie, right? I always tell people like the honeymoon is the most shallow point of your marriage. I promise you that. It should only get better from there, right? You barely know your spouse. Like it's just the beginning of things, right? Better it's the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. Same goes for your marriage. Honeymoon is not some pinnacle that we should try and recapture. All right. So wipe that ideology right out of the picture in the beginning. Right? I like to sacrifice holy cows, and that's my that's the first one we're going to sacrifice here in this short video. But what happens is, you start to feel stuck. You start to feel lonely, right? I think something like almost 50% of married people report feeling lonely in their marriages, right? Not the way marriage is intended to go. We both agree to that. With lonely, with feeling lonely comes feeling of resentment towards your spouse, right? And these things just kind of compound, and ultimately you just hit drift mode, right? And especially men have the habit of doing that. They hit the drift mode when they feel like they're in a battle that they can't win. They become passive. They become couch potatoes. They become just kind of que sera sera. It is what it is. If it ain't broke, I guess I ain't gonna tinker with it. And you drift. You were not created to drift. All right. You're not a dead log. Dead logs drift. That's it. All right. So we know the honeymoon phase, the idea that your honeymoon is, or the idea that your marriage is at its peak or its honeymoon, we know that's a lie. All right. But here's what you need to grasp. Here's what's going to change the paradigm of your marriage. So here's the one thing that if women learn how to intentionally activate and use in their marriage has no choice but to get better. So here's the one word. You ready? Influence. Now I know what you're thinking. Uh, kind of a letdown, bud. You talk this whole thing up and then you just come at me and throw the word influence. Like, bro, that's boring, right? I get it. That's not as attractive as you want it to be. It's not exciting. It's not sexy. It's not, all the things, oh, I'm gonna go tell all my friends, right? It's not memeable. Influence, right? I promise you, okay? Think of your favorite artist, think of your favorite movies, open up a history book, turn on the radio. What you're going to see is the results of women's influence on the hearts of men. Okay. Think about this. How was Esther able to save an entire nation, an entire people from genocide in the Bible? She tapped into her superpower, this one word, influence. You have it. Every woman that's ever married to a man has it because in a man's natural mind, all right, just go with me on this. In a man's natural mind, in his cost benefit analysis methodology of making decisions, in order for him to get married, you would have had to have become a greater influence than his outlook of all the liabilities that he incurs in taking on a family, raising a kid, taking care of a wife, having to provide for all those mouths and protect and look out. There's a lot of people in the world that are outside that would do harm to a man in his own mind. And so, in order to cut his risks, a man looks to cut his risks because of the dangers of society. Unless something comes from the outside and influences him to throw aside all those natural self-preservation sort of safeguards that he has in his mind, right? All that to say, if you're married, you've already tapped into this at some point because you got that man to ask you a question. He got down on his knee where he could have been embarrassed in front of God and everybody, and you could have said no, right? And he threw all that, he cast all those inhibitions to the side and said, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm going to ask this woman to marry me. All right. That's just a microcosm of how powerful this one thing is if you learn to tap into it intentionally. So, all that to say, if this one superpower can save a nation from genocide, it can change your marriage for the better. So, I'm going to get into 3 things you can do. There's 3 methods you can do to activate this influence. All right. Real simple and it's universal. It works on men. All right. Just like it worked on the king back in the Bible. Okay. It works on your husband too. But just make this one promise to me. You're not going to use these powers for evil. All right. Only for the bettering of your marriage and thereby the bettering of society. This is why I need you to jump on board with this because I want a good society to raise my kids in. And the more strong marriages we have, the more likely that's going to be. So this is me actually begging you, tap into this. Okay. You ready? Number 1, praise. Okay. We're going to call it the P word. We're going to go PAR, praise. Speaking highly of your husband. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it will eat the fruit thereof. And this is why I say people unintentionally tap into this power because they use it for the negative. Okay, when you speak ill of your husband to his face, behind his back, to your friends, right? When everybody else is kind of, yeah, my husband this, my husband that, and you just kind of bicker on, and it gets really easy, right? To just kind of fall in a trap and go with the flow. I'm like, yeah, you know what my husband did last night, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh, he'll never hear it. That's okay. No, it's not okay. Even if he doesn't hear it, it's not okay because you can tell when people don't respect. A man can tell when people don't respect him. And how do people lose respect for a man? Is they find reasons not to respect him. And if you are the one providing those reasons, God forbid, well, then he's going to universally understand that, okay, maybe I'm a man of low value. Maybe I'm a man of low character, right? I bring up the negative because that's more often how we sort of navigate in society. People kind of default toward negative, right? When the opposite is true as well. If you speak highly, right, you say good things, you praise him behind his back and in front of his face, that's gonna build a healthy ego for the man. Okay, and I know people are like, oh, ego, bad thing. Like we can get into all that, but for the sake of this video, we're gonna keep it short. Second thing is appreciation. Okay, we got the P, we got the A. Second thing is appreciation. All right, this is similar to praise, but it's gonna be an actual action taken to show the thankfulness. Okay, so you pick what your husband's good at. All right. Things that you like about your husband, things that you respect and admire about your husband. You take those things, you're going to actually show it. You're going to put on some kind of display to say, hey, I appreciate this, right? Let's say your man works a job that he doesn't necessarily like, but he does it to provide for you, his family, his kids, and all those other things, right? Let's say he's working 50, 60 hours a week and he'd rather be home with you, but you got to eat, right? Kind of thing. So he's working. That looks like, okay, it's not just, I cooked tonight, babe, your plate's on the table. It's, hey, I made your favorite meal. Thank you for working so hard for us, right? So just that added on gesture at the tail end there makes all the difference, all right? Third one, respect. This is fundamental. This is straight out of the Bible. Okay. The Bible calls for wives to respect their husbands, to reverence their husbands, as they would the Lord, and for men to love their wives, cherish their wives, as Christ loved the church, right? And gave himself for the church. So if a man is giving himself for you to provide and all those other things, it's to be expected at the same time that women respect their husbands. And all that's encompassed in the first two aspects of this, right? So I'm not speaking ill, I'm lifting him up, I'm showing appreciation for all the things that he does, right? And then I'm letting him lead. I'm respecting his leadership as a man, right? I often hear a lot of times in my business, my line of work, I hear a lot of women say they wish their husbands would lead more. They wish their husbands was more of a leader. And I totally understand it. I totally get that. Here's the thing. I can't lead someone that's not following me. Literally, the only difference between a husband that's leading and a husband that's not is the people that are following him. All right. That's that we can get more into that and kind of what that looks like in a later video, but I promise you that's it. So just those three things are going to tap in and activate your godly influence that will bring out the best of your husband. Now, if you don't believe me, I'm going to prove it to you, but there's more to learn. Now, I promise you, if you tap into those three things, that is completely going to reactivate, reanimate, reinvigorate the husband that you always knew, right, was just kind of trapped down in there and just kind of buried under all the cares of life, right? All right, so I get it, right? Mind dump. That's a lot of information. It's not really, it's not exactly concrete. I don't know if this is going to work for me. XYZ, right? I promise you this works. This is universal. Okay. If you do X, you get Y. Men are hardwired that way. All right. You have this superpower. There's nothing that can resist this superpower. This superpower can move mountains. Okay. When you learn how to tap into it. But I'm going to help you. My wife and I are going to teach you. We have a course called How to Hack Your Husband. Okay. Go down in the description. You're going to click the link. Okay. You're going to sign up. And I'm going to send you the free video. It's going to be the first module of How to Hack Your Husband. It's going to lay the foundation of how to begin to see these changes in your marriage. Okay. What do you need for this? You need to be A, be married, B, be a woman, and C, want to have a better marriage. That's all you need. I promise you this works. It's universal. Your husband can't resist. All right. How to Hack Your Husbands. Go see it in the link and have fun revolutionizing your marriage. And we're here for you. We got your support. We'll answer your questions because, again, we want to see families flourish. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you found some value in it.